We are going to see if I can't get this BEW to start and stay running tonight. I hope. Hey everyone, I'm Grant and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be a little bit interesting because some of the things I'm going to show you are me trying to figure out what was going on and why I couldn't get my BEW TDI to start and run. And there were a couple of things that I found. The first one, and this one is on me, I was plugging in this connector into the back of the cylinder head, and this is what allows the computer or the ECU to talk to the injectors inside the head. And apparently you can get this in and turn it, and it will be slightly out on one side. That has nothing to do with this wiring harness and everything to do with me not seating this connector into the head correctly. So that was one issue. However, in my last video I did say that I had a cam position sensor error. So I ordered a new cam position sensor because I know this engine has about 188,000 miles and I could see it going bad. So here's the old sensor. I've actually gone ahead and replaced it, and I'll show you all that video now. So after replacing that, I tried getting the engine to start again. Fire in the hole. Fire in the hole. And to me, the engine does sound healthier now, but it's probably because I got this plug installed correctly on the back of the head. Again, this one's on me, no other issues. I didn't make sure that it was seated correctly. However, I still had a fault code in VCDS Lite on the cam position sensor. And I have been trying to troubleshoot that, and I haven't been able to figure it out. So I started asking a couple of people that I trust online for help because I am not an expert on these PD engines. And I have been very grateful and thankful for the help that I have been getting. And here's what we have found. Using the guide I got with this wiring harness, I started to just go through and check stuff. Now, this right here is the smaller of the two ECU plugs. This is the larger one. And if we go over here, this is the plug for this cam position sensor. And using this guide and making some minor modification to my Fluke multimeter, I basically got a safety pin, cut it in half, and electrical taped it to it. That way I can push it in, and I'm checking the middle wire here, which is the red wire, and I get it in like that. And what I'm doing is a continuity test, and I'm making sure that according to this guide, the black engine speed sensor red wire should be going to pin 28 on this connector. Using the other half of the safety pin, I can do this. This top one is 15, this bottom one is 30, so if I go 2 over, 1, 2, I should get continuity to that pin right there, and I don't. But if I go to pin 29, I have continuity. Now, to make all of this more interesting, it feels like there is something in pin 28. Now, one of the other fault codes I was receiving in VCDS Lite was for my N75 valve. And in looking in this instructions, the red wire, and I'm going to test it real quick here. So this is N75. The red wire is this outer pin here. It's supposed to be in pin 29 on this connector. Now, again, starting here, counting 1 over, no continuity. But I have a feeling if I go to 28, there's where the issue is. So, I have 2 pins going to the ECU where they are reversed. What I want to do now, because I really want to see if this engine will run, is I'm going to figure out how to take apart this connector and see if I can't come up with something to depin these connectors. First thing I need to do is figure out how to get this off. Don't know if you can see this, but there's a little tab in there, and I think if I were to lift it, yep. Okay, that slides off. Now, having dealt with these in the past, this should be a lock that prevents, yep, the pins from coming out. Now, one of the things I did off camera is I found this. This is actually a staple from a staple gun used for hanging up insulation and whatnot. And if I double check everything again, that's pin 15. So if I slide this in here, oh, sure enough, that slides right out. So let's also do it for pin 28. Try doing this so you can see it as well. I'm immediately going to put it in 29, and I'm going to take that staple out. We're going to put this pin 28, and it has clicked. Put that back on. Retest this. That works. Alright, I have the 2 wires swapped. I have the locking pin back on it. I have the cap back on it. We're going to hook this up real quick. I'm going to hook up the glow plugs, everything else, because I haven't found anything else yet. And we are going to see if I can't get this BEW to start and stay running tonight. I hope. I have everything just laying in position because, again, I am just trying to see if it will stay running until I turn off the key. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the fan. Fire in the hole. Okay. I've got something not hooked up correctly. My gut is actually telling me it's this ground. So I'm going to move the ground real quick. Yep, it was a ground issue, because now the solenoids are coming on. Let's try this again. Fire in the hole. Yes! 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 Like a mix of emotions right now. It runs. It finally starts and idles, and I am so thrilled. And before I go over all my thoughts on this harness, I really need to give a shout out to David Shoemaker. I would not have gotten my BEW running last night without his help. So David, thank you so much for all your help. With that said, I now need to turn my attention to the harness. And here's my thoughts, and before that, I do need to preface it by saying I started this channel to document and share with everyone who watches how I go about doing a diesel swap on my TJ Wrangler. I have been doing this since 2018, and every time I buy a product and install it on my Wrangler, I try to share it with you, the viewer, and share links and my honest thoughts and opinions behind them in case you want to build something similar to what I have done. So here are my thoughts on this wiring harness, and I'm going to start with what I like because there are several things that I do. I like the way it is built. I like the materials that are used. I like the way the harness is labeled. And I like the documentation that it comes with as well. Those are all fantastic. But I have two major problems with it. One, I got this harness to speed up this entire swap because I have been trying to get this diesel-powered Wrangler on the road since 2018, which leads me to my second problem. And I'm going to put the screenshot up over here from their website. They say that all of their harnesses are bench tested, and that's where I have a problem with this product, because the wiring for the N75 valve here and the camshaft position sensor here, the pins were backwards on the connector going into the ECU. And if this had been bench tested, that should have been found before it came to me. I have spent the better part of 3 weeks trying to get this engine to start and stay running. Now, there were other issues I ran into that were my fault that weren't a part of this harness. I hooked up the tandem pump backwards, nothing to do with the harness. I hooked up the connector going into the head, connecting the ECU to the injectors incorrectly. Again, nothing to do with the harness, my own fault. But after solving those two issues, I should have been able to turn the key and this engine should have been idling. And it didn't. Here are my final thoughts on this harness. Am I going to use this harness? Yes, because I have paid for it and I now know it's working. However, would I go to this company to buy another harness in the future for a future project? No, I don't think I would. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.